Happy Monday, degenerates. Welcome on back to the Die Hard MMA podcast. It is UFC OKC Fight Week. We are not in the apex, but it is a dumpster nonetheless. We are coming off UFC 329, which is by far the most disappointing main event of the year. And it's really a bummer because honestly, that card was like 10 out of 10s all the way up until that point. They just couldn't quite stick the landing. The reads were good. The bets were good. We are rocking the baby blues for a big win this week, up 7 units thanks to Mr. Bobby King Green. Got in on that live bet. I was hovering over, just ready and waiting for it. We knew it was coming as soon as T-Rex gassed out. Good times, ladies and gentlemen. Good times. We're feeling good. The reads are sharp. And you know what? Even the ones that I lost on this past week, like I bet Benoit Saint-Denis money line, right? I told you guys he's my ride or die, right? We chopped it down like front, backwards, and everything. I was like, look, Patty can sub this guy. He puts his neck in chokes. I was like, we know how this goes wrong. So even if the bet was like the wrong side, the analysis was just spot on. We're feeling good right now, everybody. I hope you're feeling good. I hope we helped put you some money in your pockets. Let's get after it. I got a really fun guest for you guys this week, co-host of the Lambeau Plays podcast and one of my favorite people, Timmy Troiano. What's going on, Tim? How you doing?
Doing good, man. It's great to be here again. Thanks again for having me. Can't wait to chop up this card. It is, as you said, kind of a dumpster a little bit, but we're going to make the best of it.
Hell yeah. No, it's going to be a good time, man. Definitely glad to have you on the pod. Appreciate it. We always bring you around. Appreciate you making the time to come on and do a full breakdown with us here on a Monday. How'd you do last week? How you feeling?
I lost a little bit. I wasn't really good with props for the fights. I made a little bit back on live betting and just ended up losing just a little bit on the card. But yeah, the utter disappointment of the main event was more the story for me. Honestly, I wanted to see a fight. I wanted to see Max kind of get him out in 2, 3, or 4, and then it was just kind of a joke.
Yeah, you and me both, man. I mean, I'll be completely honest with you guys. There's no love lost between me and Conor McGregor. It's like John Jones. I don't like terrible people, Tim. Like it's just, if you're an awful person outside the cage, I'm not going to be a fan. But I wanted to watch a fight. I wanted to watch Max Holloway stomp his ass after he gassed out halfway through. It was anticlimactic as it gets, throwing that leaping kick that he did and blowing his knee out. It's like somebody my age deciding to run out on the basketball court with the kids on a Sunday and blowing their knee out, realizing they're too old to do it anymore. So I sympathized a little bit from that angle.
Did you think he was hurt before the fight, or did you think he did it in the ring?
You know what? That's the big question, isn't it? I'll be honest with you, Tim. I'm kind of like half foot in on that. I don't think he was compromised before the fight started, but I don't think he ever fully recovered. You know what I mean? Like I don't think he had like a new specific injury that they were hiding. I just think he was never the same guy after the ankle break. And I know he said like, "Oh, I moved into the gym and I've been living in the gym doing nothing but train," but like, man, 6 months of living in the gym is not going to fix 5 years of cocaine binging and living on a yacht. You know what I mean? Like he just was never supposed to come back after what happened to him. And I posted something about this earlier on Twitter today. I actually think we're going to see him again, which sounds insane, but he so desperately, so badly wants to go fight bare knuckle FC, wants to go make millions boxing. He's got to fight out the contract, man. I think we're going to actually see him rehab, come back, And in 2 years, the UFC is going to throw him to the wolves. He's going to get his ass whooped by whoever the flavor of the week, Dana White's Contender Series hot up and comer is, and that'll be his last fight. And it's going to be awful. But then he can go make money elsewhere because
I hear
they're
Michael
never going to let
Chandler's
him out.
willing to wait.
Oh my God. Dude, if we go another year and a half, 2 years, and it's McGregor Chandler, oh my God. I might boycott that card. I might just kill myself. Oh my goodness. All right, guys. I am seeing everybody roll in here. Welcome in everybody into the chat. I already lost it. I can't keep up with you guys. It's moving too fast. You know who you are. Appreciate each and every one of you being here. Do me a favor, hit the like button. Just real quick, run back over that past card because it went pretty well for me. Like I said, from a reads and betting perspective, I did get caught once or twice, as is tradition. I picked the wrong Cage Warriors fighter. I doubted my boy Brandon Raw Dog Royval, and I just need to stop doing that. Apparently, Loner Kavanaugh blew my 2-leg parlay out. But I did have Alessandro Costa. He was parlayed up with Max. That felt pretty good. Ryan Gandra was the one that people were mocking me all week for. You guys, Zach Reese is a bum. Assery Reese is just, he's never going to be the side, right? Like, I kept seeing, Tim, it's funny. I'm the fade, right? Like, I'm the one who sucks ass and people feel comfortable when they're on the other side of me. But this past week, as I kept seeing posting about Reese being the pick, I'm just like, oh, I'm loving this. Like, the more I saw everyone just piling in on Reese, but the line moving towards Gandra, I'm like, I'm good. So liked that one. I was impressed with John Garza. What did you get to watch that fight? What did you think of that kid?
Yeah, I thought that was impressive scrambling from him. I thought that he was like I kind of thought that would go the way that it went. I mean, the scrambling I was more surprised. That was where I was surprised. I thought the striking would be like he just wasn't really super defensively responsible in any of the tape that I saw. And I thought that the striking was like everybody was kind of rating his striking and overrating his striking a little bit just from a defensive standpoint. But I thought he did well. I mean, I thought, coming in on short notice, fighting a very, very good fighter in Farid. But I was really impressed with his scrambling. I thought that if Farid got him down, that he'd be able to hold him down or, maybe get a back take or something like that. And he was just scrambling his ass off. So I was impressed by that. He didn't really show any of that on tape.
Agreed. And that was my big thing is like I'm not a fan of the Bash Bros really. They're kind of dull and kind of boring that I wanted an excuse to bet on him. I jumped in live, man. Am I crazy to think that should have been a 29-28 like at worst and he might have even won the fight? I thought the 30-27s was crazy.
I was betting, honestly, I was betting live on Farid because I thought that he won 2 rounds clear.
Okay.
I don't hate the 29-28, but I thought unanimous 29-28 for Farid would have been good.
Well, I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it again then because watching it live, I was pretty well convinced. Like with him being the one moving forward, landing heavy shots, with him defending all those takedowns, I was like, man, like he's got to be getting big points for the cage control that's happening right now. And then every time he landed, it looked like Farid was not really enjoying the striking. So, yeah, I thought 29-28 at worst. And I thought you could make an argument that he might have even won it. It felt like the cards were a little pre-filled out when they read 30-27s across the board. I was like, the fuck? But, it is what it is. I think Farid's day is coming, just like his brother's was, unfortunately. What about Big Penis, man? Damian Pinas losing right up until he wasn't, just needed one shot to end Cesar Almeida. That was impressive as hell, man. That kid, that death touch is real.
Yeah, anytime we can bring back the penis to talk about, we have to try to do that as often as we can. Yeah, I mean, I thought that fight is really good just to see a couple of different things, like against a skilled striker. Clearly, he has nuclear power. I mean, that's just obvious. He hit him with a punch from like this far away, and he fucking knocked him dead. But when he went for the takedown and then instantly got taken down by Cesar after it, like I just think anybody with competent grappling is going to just rape him on the ground. Like he's just not. He is not at grappling whatsoever. So once he faces one of the, somebody that can strike and stay defensively responsible and wrestle, I think he's going to get cooked. And I think against guys that are, defensively responsible, good strikers can also get him as well. Because Caesar's not like, he's great, but he's old, and he was doing really, really well early in that fight, and then he just got nuked. But yeah, I thought that was pretty telling on the takedown, and then the immediate takedown after it. The get up by Caesar, no problem, and then the immediate horrible takedown attempt that actually worked. I just think a good wrestler is going to just have no issue with him.
Yeah, it's going to be an absolute sprint to see how quickly he can develop that wrestling pedigree, right? Like if he can develop and outpace the matchmaking, it'll be good times for old Pinas. What is up, Wheezy? Good to see you, buddy. Appreciate you being here, hanging out in the show. I felt really good about Wang Tong getting it done. Tim, I was this close to passing. I'm like, everything in my soul told me it was Wang, and that was a trust your balls spot for me because I absolutely needed to pull that trigger. I felt really good that I did. I'm just pissed off because I felt like she should have gotten the KO. It looked like Tracy was kind of a sitting duck for the last like 3 minutes of the fight. And it's kind of disappointing that Wang has gone from being this exciting knockout specialist to now she's just not able to get it done when her opponent is on one wheel in front of her.
3 or 4 fights in a row that she's done that too.
Yeah.
Like she's had,
and I've bet the KO every single time.
Yeah. Yeah. I was on Tracy by sub at like 13-1 pre-flop. That was the only bet I had in that fight. And I was just like, I can't imagine. Honestly, I can't imagine being Santino and being like, I'm going to come out of retirement to coach you and corner you for you to just fight the dumbest fight ever and not listen to a word I'm saying in the octagon.
You got to feel for Santino.
Yeah, I just can't imagine doing it.
That would be awful, man, because she really didn't listen to anything, which I will say that's, it's easy to critique outside the cage. When you go to take down somebody and they feel like a brick wall, like, I don't know that I would want to run face first into that either over and over and over again. So like, it is what it is, but yeah, you got to listen to your coach if you're actually going to look for success in there. I am a little pissed because, man, Tim, I got to tell you, the one thing I left off the table was I was going to do like a 3-leg knockout parlay, and it was going to be Pinas, Riley, and Yanez. And all throughout the week, people got in my ear about Riley not being the real deal. And, I was like, man, like maybe he wins a decision. Kai always fights close. And I was like, well, Pinas, like, is he going to land the big shot? Is he going to grapple this time because of the matchup? And what really got me was the Yanez knockout line kept like shipping the other direction. It was really weird. The line movement, the KO got cheaper as the fight went on, that I was like, that's sus, man. Like, why are they making it more affordable for this KO prop? Really kind of pissed me off because I looked at it earlier in the week and it was like 11-1 for those three when the numbers were pretty good. And then I talked myself out of it. And sure enough, it just happened the way it was supposed to on a pay-per-view card. So I was pretty disappointed, but good to see Adrian Yanez get that big layup that he kind of needed here. Big name on his resume. I feel like they've done a good job kind of rebuilding him the last couple fights.
Yeah, for sure. We had Narco did an interesting thing on the pod last week in the Lambo pod. He had like the chat come up with a Lambo parlay.
Yeah, I heard that.
And we had Gondra KO1, Pinas KO1, and McKinney KO1 at like 37-1. And like all we needed was McKinney, and he's like literally like beating the living shit out of Green. And then if it was flipped around, honestly, if it was flipped around and Bobby Green had those positions and he struck McKinney twice, Kerry Hatley would have stopped the fight. 1,000%. And he lets McKinney hit him like basically. I think he let McKinney. Kerry Hatley was the same dude that let Jalen Turner take off 25 years off of his life. Am I wrong on that? Like he's the same rep.
I believe that was the same rep.
I remember, right?
Yeah.
Like, dude, this guy is amazing, man. He lets Bobby take lifetime worth of beatings and just let him come back like twice. So this time at least he came back instead of dying.
Dude, I feel like it's little sibling syndrome. Like, you know how when like the older sibling like provokes the younger sibling and the parents are like, whatever, they just kind of let it go. And then when the younger sibling responds, they're like, yo, no, like sit down, shut up. That's the one that gets in trouble. That's what these refs feel like to me, because seriously, they will give the nail all the time in the world. And then as soon as the tables turn, it's like, no, we're done here. We're done here. I will say in this case, Terrence was cooked. Like
No doubt.
99% of the time, Tim, I will always be like, oh, well, you got to let it go. You got to let them go out on their shield, early stoppage. Terrence doesn't get better in round 2. Like, this is the one time that I'm like, yeah, he was done. Like, we didn't need to see round 2, except for the people who bet, fight starts round 2. And I'm sure they probably had a tough time with that one. But once Bobby got in the driver's seat, I'm pretty sure it was over. It was just a matter of time. You know what I mean?
For sure.
What'd you think of Gabe Stevenson?
Impressive. I think it was a pretty easy matchup for him, but I mean, like, I posted on X. I was just like, all the people who bet, the over half a takedown and under half a round are just like bent over, just in the worst way possible. Like, you get a guy that can easily get a takedown if he wanted it. Like, he probably, he could also smash on the ground, and he wasn't really interested in doing that. And then it was an insane line too. It was like, so early in the week, it was so bettable. It was just like minus 150 or minus 130 ish range for like over a half a takedown for like, it just seemed, it was just a gigantic trap. Like, I was looking at it, I'm like, I can't bet it. Like, it seems like a trap. It is a trap. And then the over half a round shouldn't have hit. Goddard
never should have hit.
I think it was Goddard, right? Or was it? I can't remember.
Oh, I don't know. I don't remember who the ref was on that one.
I think it was Goddard, and it was just like 3 seconds goes off, and then he finally waves it off, and just like, that's the difference of the over half a round right there. That's save the bookies.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. The half round bets are sketchy as hell. It's funny. I wanted to bet the over 1.5. I had Art on the podcast last week, and he got it at like plus 125. I went to go and tail him, and it was minus 160. And I was like, oh, like that's a big jump going from plus money to minus 160 for over half a round. I mean, this is one of those ones where it would have hit, but like, it kind of would have been a bad bet in hindsight, laying that kind of chalk to get there with how close it was. I would like to have the money in my pocket, obviously, but also I recognize that would have been a pretty poor play at minus 160. Rob Whittaker just smashes Nikita Krylov. That was impressive as hell. I'll be honest. I thought Nikita would have more grappling success. I did talk myself into a Krylov bet, and Rob looks like an absolute tank at 205 pounds. I don't know how well he's going to do in the long run, but his striking was on point, and it was really impressive. I'm a Rob fan. I hate betting against the guy, so it was good to see him get the win from a fan perspective. But yeah, that one kind of crushed me a little bit, because I thought that Nikita Krylov was going to be able to hustle him on the mat.
Yeah, I was kind of scared. I didn't know really what was going to happen in that fight, but I ended up getting a live bet on Rob by KO at like 5.5 to 1. I was just like, I think he's actually going to catch him. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Good work there, man. My dog of the week comes through. Feel good about that. Mario Bautista gets the damn thing done. My sub prop at 11 to 1 was this close, Tim. He was hunting for that back. He had the arm triangle set up a couple times. Even in the third round, he was chaining those takedowns, and it looked like he just needed to get the hooks in, but he was kind of hanging on for the win at that point. High IQ move. I get it, but I wanted my 11 to 1. So a little disappointed there. The one I really want to focus in on, because like there's not much to talk about with the Max Holloway and McGregor situation. We already chatted on it. But man, the co-main event, Benoit Saint-Denis and Paddy Pimblett, like, holy crap, 52 seconds. I talked about how Benoit leaves his neck out there a little bit, but he's still really hard to put away. Paddy is so good scrambling. The way he put his foot up on his back to like sink it in, and then gator rolled with him to keep the choke locked in. Like, dude, that was impressive as hell. We got to give Paddy his flowers for that move, because that was a really slick submission.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think also, I think it was slick offensively from him for sure, and he knew each transition to make. But I also think that Benoit has major overconfidence in these situations to think that he can get out all the time. I mean, he hasn't been subbed, and he's in situations where he's like, I'm going to get out again. And I feel like as soon as he rolled over and he's like, oh, I'm cooked at this point. He had a chance where he could have actually maybe defended it, a little bit better. And then he didn't do things. He just thought he could get out of it like normal. And Paddy was just a step ahead of him all the way through. But yeah, he
really
put
was
in the wrong spots all the time. He's super he's overconfident in times like that. So
very much.
Yeah.
Very much, man. And I'm kicking myself because Tim, I've analyzed a weakness in my betting game, and I feel like every once in a while you can bet both sides of a fight and it works out. So like I knew Patty sub at plus 600 was a good number. Considering we know how much Benoit leaves his neck hanging out there and how good Patty is on the ground, I knew that was a good number. But I was like, at the end of the day, I think Benoit is going to defend and he's going to win the damn fight. So I bet Benoit Anthony money line. I could have just hedged a little bit. You know what I mean? I could have put a little bit on Patty sub, knowing damn well that's basically his money line. And at plus 600, I can cover myself. And I just didn't do it. And that frustrates me because I don't want to bet both. I don't want to make a habit of betting both sides of the fight because either way you're losing one of your bets. I don't want to burn money like that. But on this kind of a spot, I knew both guys well enough. It was so blatantly obvious that like I felt really bad not having at least something on Patty by sub. Congrats to everybody in the chat that did have a chunk on Patty by sub because plus 600 was a good number for that one. But I'm going to have to watch out for spots like that in the future. And you got to be careful with it, though, because there is always the opportunity to lose both sides of the bet. And that's why I try to stay away from it. But it is what it is. I don't know how you feel about that. Is that something you ever get into where you're playing both sides on hot props like that or anything?
I do it often actually because I bet props so much. So like I'm 95% of my I wouldn't say 95 pre-flop. 90% of my bets are props, and then I bet live way more than pre-flop money lines. So for me, it's like you have to do it that way. Like I go like if I feel like somebody is a early round one merchant, and then I'm betting them round one and I'm betting 2-3 on the other guy. Or in this situation, I was disappointed with myself because I kind of felt the exact same way that you did about Patty's like a front choke away or a back take in a scramble away from winning this fight. But outside of that, I think he gets controlled or dominated. And I didn't bet the same thing. So I was disappointed. I would do that actually. I do that a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I need to find a way to work it in, especially in not all the time, but in spots like this for sure. Anyway, that's the UFC 329 recap, everybody. Hey, welcome in. We've almost got 200 of you live already. Do me a favor and hit that like button. Share the show, please. If you're on social media, of course, share the show as well. Hop on over to YouTube, jump in the live chat, get subscribed. We do this every week. This is my man, Tim. He is the co-host of the Lambo Plays podcast and one of the sharpest prop bettors I've ever met in my life. So we are very excited to have him here today. Make sure you give him a follow as well. He's a fun guy. Let's get into it, man. Let's talk some fights. First fight of the evening, we are kicking off with women's MMA. Dione Barbosa, the Witch, taking on Anna Melisano. Now, for those of you who are wondering where this chick came from, Anna is actively competing. Well, I guess not anymore, but she was actively competing on this season's Ultimate Fighter, you guys. She is a member of Team Bisping. And not only is she a member of Team Bisping, but Tim, she was the #1 overall draft pick for Team Bisping when it came to the women's side of things. Now, I find it really hilarious because usually the #1 picks, they go a little deeper into the show. They have a good run. A lot of times they're the ones who end up in the finals. Well, she was Bisping's #1 pick, and she fought on the first episode of this season's Ultimate Fighter, and she got her ass beat. Her opponent came forward, pieced her up on the feet. As soon as she started giving up the center of the cage and moving backwards, it was pretty much over. She got kicked, and then she lost a scramble, ended up with her back taken, and got choked out. Like, it was pretty rough to see her go ahead and get finished that way. Well, Diana Barbosa needed an opponent, and instead of finding somebody else, they said, you know what? You just got choked out on your first attempt at the Ultimate Fighter. Let's call you up to the big show instead. So now she's making her UFC debut instead of going back to the regionals or instead of finishing out the Ultimate Fighter. Pretty insane run, I feel like. Now, she's got an amateur loss to Carly Judice, so she's fought, some decent competition. She's got big old broad shoulders. She's well-muscled. She looks like she's pretty strong. But I'll be honest, Tim, I'm not impressed. Like, I don't know why she was the first overall pick. She's very meat and potatoes with her striking. She does kind of maraud forward and just kind of 1-2s her way at her opponents. She's got a nice little step in elbow, but it doesn't seem like she's got a whole lot of power. Like, she's physically strong, but she doesn't have a lot of power, I'm not overly impressed. She seems like she's got a very basic game. I know physicality in women's MMA will carry you to a certain extent, but it almost seems like that's really all she has going for her. And she's 29 years old. Barbosa, 9-4 overall, 34 years old, 3-2 off of Dana White's Contender Series. She's another very physical, built, strong woman. Gliding movement when she's on the feet. I do like the way she moves around the cage. Good range and awareness, good body kicks. She's very measured. She's very patient. And then she's got a BJJ black belt. So when she hurts people, when she gets you thinking about the hands, she'll dump you down to the ground. And then she really is good from there. Flowing from top position, she can stay on top of people. Good, quick back takes. When she fought Karascate, she took her back so fast and sank that choke in, man. She's extremely dangerous. Kind of classic BJJ boa constrictor style, right? Every move you make, she's going to inch a little bit closer, get it a little bit tighter. I love the way that she grapples. When she gets extended in fights, things do get a little bit questionable. Her one loss by knockout was Josiane Nunez. Now, we know she hits like an absolute truck. It was pre-UFC, but she got tired. She got a little sloppy, and that's when she got hit and she got rocked. This is a weird fight, man, because I don't think much of Anna after seeing her on The Ultimate Fighter, but Dione Barbosa is a minus 425 favorite. And that seems a little insane to me. What do you make of this fight?
Honestly, I think the line could be even short. I don't see a path at all for Anna here. I think she's slow. I think she's. I think from what I saw, I think she's fought at 115 before as well. I I don't know. I think you have a judo edge. She's Barbosa's a. I think she's an Olympian for Brazil and judo as well. Like or made the Olympic team. I don't know if she actually competed in the Olympics, but she made the Olympic team. There's just the stuff that Anna does like successfully where she kind of like bullies people into the clinch and like tries to have success in those situations. Striking wise, she's an absolute bot and she's totally hittable. I would warn people like I see their last guy. Don't overthink this is Barbosa by sub. I think that's the clear path for her, but I think I would warn people on that, especially if you're getting like a minus number, like a minus 110 or minus 130 situation with that. I almost would rather lay like minus 170 on ITD instead of minus, like, let's say it's plus 100 on sub, because I think this is a situation too where she could just ground and pound her into oblivion as well and get a back take and just like range shots and she can't do anything, or get mount and have the same situation where she's just completely bullying her on top. I would lean the sub, but I think it's going to be a disgusting number. And I think it's not going to be, I think ITD will probably be like within $1 of the sub prop. So I think I would rather go pay like 50 cents more on ITD and then maybe even take a stab at like a huge KO number for her. For Barbosa, I think she's going to absolutely obliterate this chick.
That makes sense, man. That makes sense. With a 3-2 run the way she is, and with the way she kind of tires out and gasses a little bit in her fights, it just makes me nervous. When you have those kinds of glaring weaknesses, those big numbers do tend to scare me off a little bit, but I do agree that she's probably the side. I would also say I think the sub is probably the way to go. But it just, this Anna chick really seems like she's a bad nail. You know what I mean? It seems like she's a bully and she has to be the bully. So yeah, I don't know if she's going to get away with that with Dione Barbosa. My ring light just keeps on turning off and it's fucking with my lighting. It's really pissing me off. Sorry, guys, if you're not noticing that. It's glaring over here. So my bad, my bad. All right, let's keep it rolling, you guys, because we've got the return of the goose up next. Alvin Hines is back. He welcomes RJ Harris to the UFC. Honestly, Tim, just hysterical at this point how little the UFC is pretending like they care or try when it comes to anything drug related or popping related. Gunzi makes it to the UFC and he gave Jonathan Denise like a real run for his money. I mean, just by being a tough son bitch, like went in there and was just throwing heavies and slugging it out, got hurt, face is busted up, swollen all over the place, bleeding like crazy, but kept shooting for these like football style double legs, just running across the cages at his opponent, and like really made Denise kind of work for it. It was kind of hilarious, honestly. Dude is 34 years old. and popped for steroids for his UFC debut. He's coming off a year-long suspension because of popping for steroids. He's a big old Minnesota boy, just kind of your classic heavyweight, big power, feints a little bit, doesn't move his head a whole lot. Somehow he's Derek Lewis athletic enough to like get those high kicks up there every once in a while. He's fun. He's fun. RJ Harris, 5-0. I always worry about these guys, Tim. When you're 3-0, 4-0, 5-0, you make it to the UFC. It's automatically just like a big red flag for me. 27 years old. He's coming off of LFA, which thankfully at least is a good regional show. And he's another just big, beefy boy, right? Classic heavyweight power. He wings big old hooks. Tim, he wades in face first. Everything he throws is from down here. Like his hands are at his hips. His weight is forward, and he's leaning face first into everything he does. And then he just wings big old hooks. Big old corn-fed Ohio boy. I don't have any idea what this guy is good at. He really seems like a guy that's just too big for the people in his regional show, and the UFC thought, all right, you're a fun, highlight machine. Come on in. He trains in a hole in the wall, man. Everybody in all of his training videos, he's got 100 pounds on all of them. They're all half his size. He doesn't have any real heavyweight training partners. So I don't really know what to think of this guy. I think he might be a complete fraud, just kind of waiting to get checked. But at the same time, I'm not a big fan of Alvin Hines, and I don't know what the UFC really has planned for him as far as do they think there's some upside here in this 34-year-old drug addict? I have drug addict's the wrong way to say that. I mean, a steroid abuser. What do you make of this fight, man? I don't even see a line here on this one. I'm going to have to do a little bit of shopping real quick so I can figure out what the number is.
Yeah, it's like minus 140 for Hines.
Okay. That sounds about right. That my brain just being full on casual is like, well, we've seen Alvin before. This guy only has 5 fights. Like Alvin's got to be the favorite, but it can't be huge.
Yeah, this fight to me is like should be a like potential contender title for LFA situation. Like these guys are no bueno. And like you said, just the UFC just doesn't give a shit about heavyweight.
Don't care, man.
Just get a big body in there. I think that Harris is just a mammoth of a man, and I don't think that Hines is like. I just think that both of these guys are going to go out and I don't think Hines is the type of guy that's going to like really hurt him in any way where it's like, oh, you have to. I'm not saying hurt him, but I don't think he's going to be able to like one shot him in this situation. I thought Harris was okay in the clinch. I thought he's going for these standing guillotines against guys like a lot when he gets in the clinch. I think it could be a situation where he might be able, like, I don't know which one of these guys is more physical than the other, but I would have to assume it's Harris just from a size point.
He took that one dude off his feet. I mean, like standing guillotine, like lifted him up off the ground to choke him out. That was pretty crazy.
So I think that the classic situation where we're like, giving a guy way too much credit on a loss where he didn't get just because he didn't get knocked out versus Denise. And I don't think either one of these guys is really that good. So in that situation, it's usually dog or pass for me, but this is going to be a massive pass fight unless I see like a really like greasy, like a juicy number, not greasy, a really juicy number on like a GTD or a split or somebody having a decision prop. That's really nice. I could see this just being a gross slobber knocker after 5 minutes if these guys don't kill each other in round one, just from a heavyweight. It's a way I like to go at a lot of these fights with like especially heavyweights. If they don't kill each other early, it's a lot of times they go and they're just mouth breathing and have the meat sweats for 10 minutes. And you're just like, everybody's like, oh, I lost my under bet. I lost my KO bet. It's just like, you get a chance at 10-1 on one of these guys by decision.
Gotta love the greasy heavyweight overs, man. I agree with you. This is probably a pass. Right now, Guzzi is minus 140, like Tim said, plus 120 the comeback on RJ Harris here. I want to see the face-offs, Tim. I want to see just how big RJ looks when these guys actually face off with each other. You're probably right. I will say that's one thing I got to kind of pat myself on the back for just a little bit. Haven't done a whole lot right in 2026, but I have started cracking down on not giving people credit for a loss. when people get a loss and you kind of are like, oh, but they did good, and you give them that benefit, that bites you in the ass a lot. Trust me, because I've been the guy doing that for quite some time. So, Patty may be the only recent example of somebody who had that loss and actually came back looking better. So Gunzi, not a guy I'm expecting to get better at 34 years old. Definitely not a guy I think I want to have my money on if the UFC thinks this kid might be anything. But RJ could just be a complete fraud. So easy pass situation here for me. I'm going to watch that fight. Hopefully it's a highlight, but I'm not expecting to have any cash on it. Next up, you guys, we have got Alden Coria, and he's taking on Stewart Nicoll. Alden Coria, another fighter out of LFA, Tim, who is extremely exciting in my opinion, but they have done a good job to squash that excitement here because he is a 10-1 favorite. Just go ahead and bury the lead on this one, right? Minus 1,000 here on Alden Coria taking on Stewart Nicoll. I'm very excited for Alden Coria. I think this kid could be very, very good and have some serious upside in the UFC. He's just 28 years old. 2-0 so far in the UFC. Got that win against Gurule, which was nice in his last fight. Very good eyes, really bouncy on his feet. He parries well, strong defensively, fast hands. He likes to chip away with those inside leg kicks. Good head movement. I mean, like all of the things, like all the buzzwords I could say, he checks every single one of those boxes. He doesn't have like a ton of power. I talked about this in his last fight. He KO'd Alessandro Costa in his UFC debut, which, by the way, that's aging phenomenally. But I think it was more of like a timing thing than it was necessarily a raw power thing. So I think he'll get some finishes, especially as he wears people out later in fights. But I don't think he's like a one-hitter quitter, early puncher type of guy. Stewart Nicoll, 8-3, 31 years old, 0-3. 0-3 in the UFC. 2 of those losses by finish. He is an Jesus Aguilar guillotine victim, which is just, a fraud stamp right there if I ever saw one. Common opponent, Alessandro Costa, knocked him out in the second round of their fight. He showed good takedown defense early. He's got a nice little Kimura sweep on him that he used against Jesus Aguilar. But, man, outside of being a slick grappler and being able to kind of underestimate a guy like Aguilar and get caught in that sub, like, I just don't think he's UFC level, I think it's pretty obvious at this point, obviously, that he is not UFC caliber, but getting finished in his last couple of fights, definite red flag. He looks like he can kind of hang around on the feet a little bit. Does he get knocked out in round 2 or round 3?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. I think that the line is, I mean, I don't know. They're just trying to get you to not be able to parlay a guy. I think, honestly, I think they know that which way this is going to go, but just 2 fights ago, he's plus 300 to Costa. Now, I'm not saying that that's an egregious line where he, clearly showed that line is incorrect and he probably should have been a favorite in hindsight or whatever. But I just feel like, going from that to minus 1,000 in a fight where it's just tough to say minus 1,000 for Coria here. But I think he's going to probably work him on the feet and stuff takedowns and just probably work him on the feet, whether or not it's a KO or a decision. For me, I kind of would lean like round 3 or decision, but I might get to a round. I think that honestly, I think the round 2, round 3 props are going to be absolutely disgusting for this fight because I think everyone's going to ride that. So I think the value might be on a decision if you get like a 3 or 4 to 1 on him for decision. But I also think that that's going to be a greasy, sweaty situation where I might not want to get involved at that number.
For sure. I mean, I don't know if maybe he's rounded out his grappling a little bit. He could look for a sub maybe in this one because he's not too worried about what's coming back at him. Something to keep an eye on. But yeah, this is obviously a layup fight. I think after his first couple performances, the UFC have him kind of circled as a guy that they want to kind of let develop a little bit, and that's what this fight is. You've got a guy who's a bum who doesn't belong, who's just one loss away from getting cut, and he's just getting thrown to the wolves. So tough to say a whole lot more about this one than that. I don't think Stewart Nicoll's it, right? Let's keep it rolling here though, because this next fight might be a little bit more interesting. Felipe Franco taking on Levi Rodrigues. Neither guy somebody I was aware of or knew anything about. let me give you guys a little backstory here. Felipe Franco is 25 years old. He is 0-1 in the UFC. I completely forgot that he competed in the UFC. He lost to Freddie Vidal, and he on Dana White's Contender Series, he got the call up anyway. And then he lost to Mario Pinto once he made it to the UFC. He kind of was competitive in the first round, but he was one of these guys that really doesn't go super long in fights. So a lot of people were surprised it kind of got extended a little bit. Mario Pinto, not the biggest one punch type of guy. So it looked okay in round one, and then he just kind of fell off. He fights a little bit like a coiled snake, very light on his feet, decent little head movement, dips and rolls, and then explodes. Just goes for it, Physical, bullying, big takedowns. He can grind if he needs to, but obviously it's not working well so far in the UFC. Pinto, I think, is a pretty good prospect though, so I'm not going to hold that too much against him. He's a BJJ black belt. He does attack like headlocks and front chokes. Apparently he trains with Jailton Almeida, so there is potentially some like submission upside, and he is only 25 years old, so I'm being a little tough on the guy after losing to Mario Pinto. Maybe there's a little more here than I'm giving him credit for. His opponent, Levi Rodrigues, is 5-0, 29 years old. This is his debut. He's also coming off Dana White's Contender Series. And that fight ended in a no contest because apparently, Tim, this is pills week. We're just popping left and right here. So he pops on Dana White's Contender Series. No issue. They'll just call it a no contest and welcome him on into the organization anyway. He was getting smothered up against the cage in that fight. And then he just needed one shot, man. As soon as his opponent made one mistake, he hit him with like a knee and an elbow and just absolutely ended him.
I think the first one was a knee from Rodrigues. And he started to put it on. He's got down, and that'll do it.
Yeah, big, nasty ground and pound as soon as he got the opportunity. He is a big, thick boy. I mean, really physical, really strong, nasty clinch. I like the ground and pound. He's also got like a snappy little head kick that people probably are not going to see coming. This is an underrated, fun fight. Now, I don't have the best track record, though, with these like unknowns. This is because this entire card is basically a regional card. I'm going to have to be very careful this week, Tim. I'm going to leave that to the professionals unless you can, DM me, tell me what we're playing this week. Because I just don't, these super low level fights, I really struggle with. I do. Right now, you've got Levi Rodrigues as a minus 175 favorite, and I think that makes sense, but I'm not entirely certain. Talk to me about this one, man. How do you feel about this fight?
This is just another classic, like this, the giant turd sandwich versus the giant douche in South Park. Like, who are you going to vote for situation? Neither one of these guys is super impressive, and I haven't seen enough tape on Levi Rodrigues to be like, oh, I think he can stuff takedowns in this fight, and I don't even know that Franco will necessarily wrestle or grapple in this fight, which I think would be his best path. I have to thank Franco, honestly, in that fight versus Vidal. Like, I bet Vidal in round 3 at like the most astronomical numbers live because I could just see him just dying. And I had a sub prop on Franco pre-flop in that, and I was just like, okay, he's got him down like 5 or 6 times in the first 2 rounds, or like 4 or 5 times in the first 2 rounds. I'm like, and he just every time he's losing positions and he's slipping off and like he's just being too aggro, and you could just see him just starting to like have a coronary in there. And I'm just like, all right, I'm betting Vidal at a massive just to see what happens. And I got super lucky on it. But yeah, I mean, honestly, if you look, and the other thing I would say that's kind of funny about this fight is if you had like DraftKings or like any sports book come up with a line for which one of these guys pop for fucking PEDs, I think it'd be like minus 1,000 for Franco. And then you're looking at Levi Rodrigues and you're like, this is the guy that popped. Those aren't working. Like, those PEDs are not working for this guy.
Get a new doctor, man.
Like, what is going on? So yeah, I think if this fight is standing, I think either one of these guys could bonk the other. I would lean Levi is a little bit better on the striking, but maybe they hang us a good line on submission for Franco here. And I think if he grapples hard, like, I think that he could take this guy down. Like, he's taking down heavyweights and he's taking down massive dudes. He's extremely explosive and strong. So if he goes back to the, I think it was an overcorrection in the Pinto fight from Franco, that he knew what he did the previous fight. And or his previous opportunity in Dana White Series, not necessarily his previous fight from that one, but his last chance in the UFC, and he just over committed to going for it too early, and then he just did basically nothing against Pinto for 3 rounds and just tried to survive. So maybe he goes back to being like himself and goes a little bit more full rabies mode in this fight and goes for a takedown. I think he's got the grappling upside for sure. And I think that if he gets on top, I think he could do some serious damage with ground and pound and potentially sub Rodrigues. But if this fight is standing, I honestly couldn't tell you what the hell is going to happen. I would lean Rodrigues. I have no idea.
I hear you. I'm going to see what happens a little later in the week. I'll be curious to see what like a Felipe Franco sub prop looks like. Just see what that number comes in at, because I don't know that a lot of people are ready for his grappling if he does get a chance at offense. The totals are out though. 1.5. The under 1.5 is -125. I think this fight potentially could be quick. I know we talk about the greasy fat man overs, but this is one that I think could be extremely violent very quickly. I would lean under. I mean, do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, but I also think that I would lean under at that line. Honestly, I agree with that. I just think that both these guys could potentially gas. And it's the same thing with Hines as well, with these guys that once they're off the sauce, it's like, you just don't know. Hines could have had a granite chin because he's taking all the steroids in the world, and Levi could not have gas, or you just never know how they're going to react when they're not, on all the supplements.
It's true. That is a valid point, my friend. All right, that's fine. We got a couple of passes so far on the card, you guys. We'll keep it rolling, though. I'm sure we'll find something here. This, Tim, my friend, this is a fight. Seok Ko is 13-2. He is 32 years old, and he is 2-0 off Dana White's Contender Series. And this guy is the biggest surprise to me, Tim. Absolutely floored me, okay? He won as a plus 300 underdog on Dana White's Contender Series. He made his UFC debut against Oban Elliott, who I personally thought was going to be very good. He was plus 360. And he made Oban look silly. Like, Oban's whole thing is being a good wrestler and scrambler. And this guy just muscled him around like he was a baby. It was easy. And then he dominated Phil Rowe in his last fight. They have a common opponent, these two. We'll talk about Phil Rowe again here in a minute, but that one was one that I knew what was going on, because we all know Phil Rowe can't defend a takedown, but he is an incredibly strong human being apparently, and he's a pretty damn good wrestler as well. Not the most exciting when he gets top position and consolidates, but he knows how to win his fights, and he's really tough. My initial notes are about his striking ability. I did not expect this guy to be a very good grappler, but he's a pretty good striker too. I mean, he's a little light on his feet. He's pretty bouncy. He's got that blitzing karate style where he pulls people in, and he has good counterattacks and good head movement. He's very patient. He landed 6 takedowns against Elliott with 10 plus minutes of control time. He landed 4 takedowns against Rowe and had 13 minutes of control time. He's averaging 4 takedowns per 15-minute fight, and he's hitting at a 63% accuracy. That's crazy, man. Like, he's really dominating so far in his UFC run. The one thing I do want to mention as a potential weakness, and part of why I wasn't super hyped about him when he got here, he's been knocked out twice prior to getting to the UFC. A little concerning that it felt very road to UFC vibes to me, right? Like, he got knocked out by some bums, and I was like, he's not going to be any good. So I've been very, very turned around on this guy. I'm very impressed by what he has done so far, and thank God I was able to get a little bit of money back when he fought Phil Rowe. John Paul on the other side here, 10-2, 27 years old, another LFA guy. Apparently this is just an LFA fight week. He had a big knockout over Jack Congdon in round 1 of Dana White's Contender Series, which I was really impressed with, knowing Jack Congdon from Spectation Sports and seeing what he's done in some of his fights, and also just the way he set this thing up.
That lead leg side kick, and he pushes you away and gets you out of distance. When you try to close that space, that's when he meets you with those long, straight punches.
Disguising the head kick behind the jab like that is just filthy. I'm a little upset though, because like I said, common opponent Phil Rowe. I actually bet Phil in that fight. He was plus 180 as the dog, and Tim, they went to a split, and Phil's corner is screaming at him to just do something, do anything. and he just wouldn't do it. He finally lets his hands go in like the final 20 seconds of the fight, and he's got Jean Paul hurt badly. That it's like, you fuck. Like if he had just gotten started like 15, 20 seconds earlier, like he probably wins the fight. He could have even finished the guy. Like it was a 1-1 fight. I was really pissed off. That was, last experience betting Phil Rowe. God love him. Jean Paul is extremely explosive, obviously, as you guys saw from the clip. He's got big power in his hands. He does keep a high, tight guard. He's a little small, though, Tim. That's kind of my big thing. He used to fight at 155, and now he's kind of bulked up to fill out at 170 pounds. But he's definitely a little slow, and he's definitely a little bit small. He's got a big right hand, and he's got a big left kick. Those are kind of his main weapons to look out for. I'm not quite sure what to make of this kid. I worry that size is going to bite him in the ass, but I've been saying that about Nathaniel Wood for about 5 fights now. I lean with Seok Hyun Ko. He is a minus 200 favorite in this spot, but I also do respect the power of Jean Paul, where, I mean, those chin issues might be something that come back to haunt Ko in this fight. You've got Jean Paul as a plus 170 underdog this week. Tim, talk to me, buddy. What do you like here?
I think this is a good fight. I think it's the thing about Jean Paul, I think, is he's a little bit wider with his strikes than Ko. Ko's a little bit straighter, gets to the target a little bit quicker. Also, I think the kind of like spinning stuff and kicks that he kind of goes for are going to allow Ko to drop a level and potentially get him down. The size I'm not concerned about. I think he's an inch taller and has an inch of reach on him. It may be more weight that you're saying is the issue, but like height and reach wise, he's longer than Ko. But I think both of these guys could get knocked out. I think both of them have like kind of suspect chins, to be honest. So if it's striking, I could see it going either way. I think it could be close, and I would maybe a slight lean to Ko, but just from having, like I said, straighter punches. But I think if it's no grappling involved, which I don't think that's going to be the case. I think there's definitely going to be grappling involved. Mm-hmm. I would think that the line is wide, because I would think it's way closer to 50-50 type of fight. But then when you start to say like takedowns and top time, Ko is not only good at getting takedowns, he's good at establishing top position. And I think some of the fights that I saw with Jean Paul, like he's willing to throw up subs off of his back, and he's willing to lay down there for a while. I think that the biggest edge on the ground jiu-jitsu wise is for Jean Paul, but I don't just because I just think he goes for more. I think if he gets on top, I think he's more dangerous with submissions than Ko is, but Ko's way more position over submission and just ground and pound and just like rinse and repeat chain takedowns if you get up, continuing to get his position. Kind of like, I'm not saying he's Merab, but it's very similar to Merab, what he does, and just like, all right, I'm going to grab your leg again the second you get up. I'm going to take you down. You're not going to have any time to catch a breath or anything like that. So yeah, I think, like I was saying, I think either one of these guys could get a knockout if the fight is standing for any long periods of time. I think either one of them, I think both of them have suspect kind of chins. And if they connect, if either one of them connects, I could see a KO as well. But I'm not really confident. I would lean, like you say, I think it's a Ko spot, but I think it
feels like a greasy decision though, doesn't it?
It could be. The thing is like it could be. But I don't think it is if Ko gets his game off on the ground. Like I think Ko could look like minus 1,000 if he's able to get takedowns and establish top time. I don't, like that's where it's like, I'm not seeing like, it just is a question of like how well Jean Paul can defend the takedowns, and if he's really, really concerned about it, or if he can kind of hurt him on the feet, those types of situations. Maybe even calf kick and kind of immobilize him a little bit, and he's his kicks. So I just think it's an issue for me, where I think that, if you're saying one of these guys, it looks like which one of these guys has a minus 500 to minus 1,000 look, I think it's Ko. I think if it's, I don't see like Jean Paul like looking massive favorite in this situation unless he nukes him, which is possible. But I think
which is possible.
One of them has, but one of them has Ko, I think, has potential to rinse and repeat takedowns and just have this look like a 29-28, 30-27 unanimous situation.
Mm-hmm. Okay, man. You're right. This is another interesting card, another interesting breakdown. I'll be honest with you, Tim. One of the things that I kind of struggle with is coming off of a card where I do really well and I feel really good. I have a tendency to get a little overexcited. I got fresh money in my account. I'm jingling my pockets. I'm ready to go. And then I get a card like this where it's a bit dumpstery, and I end up making some mistakes because I get a little too excited and I play a few too many fights. And I'm going to try not to do that this week. So we're going to have to tiptoe around a couple of these spots because while this card is probably going to be fun, there's probably going to be finishes. It's also very tricky just from a capping standpoint. I feel like this is a good example of that. I could see Jean Paul landing a knockout. I could see him getting grinded on the mat. I could see Ko, like you said, Ko might catch him in a sub or something like that. There's just a lot that could happen here. So very intrigued. Very intrigued. Vinzi, my boy, in the chat says, bet JPL, thank me later. Now, if you guys don't know, JPL is my soccer guru, and he actually is working on a model, what appears to be a pretty strong model so far for MMA. So that comment carries some weight for me here for sure. All right, let's keep it moving though. Here we got Jose Delgado, and he is taking on Austin Bashi, Spectation sports fighter Austin Bashi, coming back to the UFC. Very excited for this one, Tim. This is a hell of a fight. Delgado's 28 years old, training out of the MMA lab. He's 3-1 off Dana White's Contender Series, and I feel like the UFC is trying to fast track this kid. He lost the decision to Nathaniel Wood, but that's one of those ones where maybe we give him a little bit of credit for a decent loss against a very tough opponent. Nathaniel Wood is a very talented fighter. He bounced back well against Andre Fili in his next fight, which again, that's kind of that softball bounce back spot from the UFC, right? That's the kind of spot where it's like, okay, Fili is a good name. It's a respectable win, and he's not an unskilled guy by any stretch of the imagination. So that's a pretty good win. This kid is violent, man. He has fast hands. He is high volume. And I know his first win in the UFC was against Connor Matthews, but damn, dude, it was good.
Oh, massive hand. Oh, boy. That was a nasty right hand over the top there.
Ready to form out. The wherewithal to move through the guard as well. Now he's working with the elbows. It's a smash and grab for Delgado.
I mean, the way he just immediately bullied his way into a top position, went to mount, and then started raining down elbows. I mean, he's kind of like a Brandon Royval prototype, in my opinion. The way he just starts to unload on you. It's that avalanche thing, right? The snowball rolling downhill. As he starts seeing his opportunities, he takes them and he really goes for it. Now he's got a 50% takedown defense rating. Wood went 2 for 3. Fili went 4 for 6. So even though he's really, really good on the feet, he does seem to struggle a little bit with that takedown defense. Now, it does not stop him from getting his game off. He knows he needs to get back up to the feet, and even giving up those takedowns, he put up 134 significant strikes against Wood and 94 significant strikes against Fili. Those still ended up being high output fights, even giving up those takedowns. The takedowns are interesting because he's taking on Austin Bashi, 24 years old, 1-1 off Dana White's Contender Series. He lost to my boy C-Rod. A lot of people very upset about that fight, if you guys recall. Very, very good wrestler grappler, right? Really strong, really thick. Check him out on social media, you guys. He has put in work, apparently. He's been off for about a year. And Tim, I love betting on these blue chip prospects when they take a year and a half off at this stage of their careers, because they really start to fill out into those man bodies, right? They start putting that muscle on and they make big improvements, especially early on at this point when they're between that 24 to 28 ballpark age range, I feel like. And this kid just mauls people. I mean, full body takedowns, lifting people up in the sky if he needs to, explosive double legs. He's got the quick back takes. He's incredibly explosive, and he's got great cardio, and he just kind of never stops coming forward. He also has a crazy squeeze on him.
That you're working.
Trying to get under the chin.
He's trying to grab those hands, and there's the tap.
Austin Bashi in round.
I like this kid. I like this kid a lot. 7.8 takedowns per 15 minutes, hitting at a 41% accuracy. He's a machine. And the bookies are like, fuck it, you figure it out. We've got a coin flip, folks. We have a pick'em price tag here on this one. It is striker versus grappler at a coin flip price tag. Pick your poison. Oh, so Tim, I work with Spectation Sports, obviously, right? They're like a semi-sponsor of the show. We shout them out. We're fans. We got the promo code. I want to back my boy Bashi. Obviously, I'm cheering for Bashi. It's good for business if Bashi does well here, but I'm really worried if he gets a C-Rod-esque performance here where he takes Delgado down, but he's not able to get the finish, then is he able to handle the guy's pace and volume when they get striking as the fight gets a little deeper? But with the ease that Delgado is giving up these takedowns, Bashi's never stopping. You know what I mean? Like he might rack up 12 takedowns if he's able to get Jose Delgado down quick and easy in this fight. This is a really, really fun fight, but it's also a really hard one to pick in my opinion. Slight lean to Jose Delgado. Maybe you can help clear this up for me.
Yeah, I'm on the other side on this one. I'm fully ready for Bashi to get knocked out if he doesn't have any success grappling, and I'm also fully ready to throw my phone into my TV if he doesn't grapple like Tracy Cortez did last weekend. So
he will, though. We know for a fact he will grapple.
Don't say that because we have been down this road so many times. I get to add people to the list. Like even Sean Brady didn't try to wrestle against Michael Morales. Like it's literally my least favorite thing in MMA betting is watching a grappler that I have money on versus a pure striker not grapple. So
when the UFC gets in their ear and is like, you should strike.
it literally is the most, I'm not kidding. It's the most tilting thing for me to bet. Like I'd rather have my guys like, lose last second on memes than watch people that just fight just so dumb. But yeah, the problem for me in this fight, like obviously it's super, super binary. I think that either one of these guys could look minus 1,000 in this fight. The problem was the takedowns. Like you said earlier, like Nathaniel Wood is a very, very well-rounded fighter. He can grapple, he can strike. He's not big at all, and he's not like super, super physical for this division. And Fili is kind of similar deal where it's like, can he grapple? Yes. He's again well-rounded, but is he like super, super physical? Absolutely not. And Fili was having no problems getting takedowns. Like, so I just think Delgado's striking style is so aggressive that he's either off balance or he's putting himself into range to be able to get taken down. He's not a distance management type fighter where he's going to need to like stay in a good position defensively to defend takedowns. I also think that the fight against there's a fight in his regionals against Makate where he lost a unanimous decision where Makate had a choke in and didn't get it, or it was either I can't remember if it was an arm triangle or if it was a rear naked choke. I think it was an arm triangle, to be honest. I can't remember though, but I know he had a submission that was super, super deep. And I don't know. I just think this guy's going to give up his back if he gets taken down. I think that I just feel like the back take is going to be there, and whether or not he can defend a rear naked choke, we'll see. So I'm leaning Bashi, and I lean submission for him in this fight.
Okay. All right. So we got a slight lean to Delgado. We got the little heavier lean here to Bashi, calling for the sub. I like to hear that. I might have to, I might have to just push my fears down and join you on that one for the good of the team, that kind of situation here. Because I want Bashi to do well, man. I really do. Especially with how hyped he was coming into that C-Rod fight. That was the perfect time to fade him. And frankly, the perfect guy to fade him.
I faded him in that fight.
Good.
Like C-Rod's he's too good in scrambles. Like he's just so good. Yeah.
And he's just the perfect kryptonite for these guys that just want to do nothing but smother you. I don't think Delgado's that guy. And especially considering he's a volume dude, like I said, the ground and pound is filthy, but if he can't back you up with like one big shot, I just don't think Bashi's going to respect the power coming his way. So you might be right, Tim. We might need to line up here on this one, and I might need to swallow the fear. Do you ever get that where you're like a fan of somebody, or you're invested in somebody, and because of that, you see their faults more than you see the positives. Because that's what happens to me, where I'm like, if I like somebody, it's like I have a much more, I'm far more attracted to their opponent, and I see the bigger flaws than I have an argument for them. It's almost like I can't quite be on them the way that I want to be. Like, I get cold feet when I've got a guy who I've rid for 5 fights and I've cashed 5 in a row. So I've become a fan because I keep making money betting on him, and then I get scared because as they get higher up into the game, I'm like, oh God, like, have I just been getting lucky for these couple of fights? Is he really that good? I don't know. Do you ever deal with that?
I honestly am the exact opposite. Like, when I start getting people that I like, I start betting them in moments like Charles Oliveira versus Islam, when I know it's not going to happen, and Ilya and just different guys when they've cashed me so much, and they're my favorite fighters. Like, I'll ride and die with them in situations where I need to be,
I got you,
more objective, and I'm extremely subjective in those situations. And yeah, I need to be able to be more of a judge in those situations better. I especially with fighters that I've won a lot of money with. Yeah, there's only been a couple times where I've really caught myself in those situations, and they've been really proud bets where I'm like, oh, like Karina Silva was one that I got off versus Ara Ujo. And like, there's certain fighters where you can just remember the ones where you're like, oh, this person's cashed me a bunch, and now I'm off the chain. But like certain fighters, I literally can't get off the chain. Like Sean Brady's one. Like, I can just think of multiple fighters in the exact. I was smiling when you were talking about it, because I'm just like, man, that's not me. I wish I could have a little bit more of a, resistance to bet these guys that.
That's so funny. Well, because I end up missing golden opportunities because I'll be like, I cashed 4 in a row. He can't hit 5 in a row, So I'll end up jumping off 1 or 2 fights too early or something. But it's funny. You and I need to level each other out a little bit here. Hey, let's shout out you guys. Coming off that Austin Bashi fight, we got Tommy McMillen coming up next. It is Spectation Sports Fight Week, apparently, everybody. And also, that's everybody coming from LFA. If you guys didn't know, if you want to watch the LFA prelims, they are now exclusively on Spectation Sports. We've got not 1 but 2 events this week, and they are bangers. Cage Titans is back, which is one of the main regional shows that is on Spectation Sports, and Peak Fighting Championship, which is brand new to the organization, is also on this week. So if you need a triple header this weekend, get subscribed. If you need more junkiness filled, you want to check that box. UFC this week, this rough card, it's not enough to scratch the itch. Get in here. Promo code DIEHARD will get you 20% off when you sign up for Spectation Sports. Link is in the description below. Let's get on back to UFC OKC, you guys. Of course, I am joined by Tim Troiano, who is from the Lambeau Plays podcast with you. Our boy Narco Cop. Good to have him floating around as well. Do me a favor, support him. His links are in the description below here. Get subscribed and let's get going. We got about 300 of you here live across all platforms, so appreciate each and every one of you for being here. As I mentioned, it is Tommy McMillen Fight Week. Tommy McMillen taking on Alberto Montes in another really, really interesting fight. And Tim, I've got basically the exact same hang up on this fight that I had on the last fight, because Tommy McMillen is the guy that I've had circled. He's the guy from Spectation Sports after Austin Bashi made the jump that we just knew. We just absolutely knew that he was getting called up to the UFC. It was a matter of time. He's a Red Hawk guy, so he trains with Sugar Sean O'Malley out there. He's 28 years old. He's 1-0 off the UFC. He knows how to work the Instagram game. He's got that whole thing down. And he is really, really filthy, man. He's a wild, long striker. He's a nasty grappler. Another one that I think I can safely compare to like my guy Raw Dog Royval, where he just wants to flurry on you. He wants to put a pace on you. And then if you give him an opportunity to, the back takes are quick. The arms, he's got these skinny, lanky, long arms. He's good with front chokes. So he'll wrap something up and submit you if he can. If not, he'll just keep pounding you until the ref steps off. His Dana White's Contender Series, one of the best UFC debuts or Contender Series debuts I think we've seen in a really long time, because a lot of people were calling him a fraud. He was a massive favorite. He got rocked early in that fight, but he showed that he's got a chin. and he showed he's got heart, and he punched his way back into that fight. And it looked like he was going to finish his opponent by the end of it. I mean, he was damn near out of there in the first round. The ref actually let it go on, and then he fought his way back and showed that he was actually the right side. I really enjoyed watching that fight. It was his first ever decision, and it really took him to the limit. And that's the kind of thing for me that I'm like, okay, young prospect, never really faced any adversity, had some softball matchmaking, coming from a big name gym with a big coach and a legacy fighter that's, getting him the call to the UFC. He had to do that one on his own. And that's the kind of thing I really like to see. I feel like you're really going to grow from that kind of a thing. It was basically taking an L without it going on your record, He'll learn from that experience, but he's still extremely raw. His opponent here, Alberto Montes, this dude is 32 years old. He's 1-0 off Dana White's Contender Series, and he's got really nice hands. Good boxing, one and done kind of pot shots. The striking isn't really complex, but again, it's a meat and potatoes system that really seems to work. He's got a nice counter right hand. He has a nice front kick as well. He got taken down on Dana White's Contender Series, and he showed good urgency to find the cage, work his way back up. He's a strong, aggressive grappler himself, and he was basically playing defense that entire fight. Exploded, jumped in, sells out for chokes. He's like a bulldog once he gets on somebody's neck. And bulldog is appropriate. He's just a dog, man. He's an absolute dog in these fights. He loves his anaconda and his Darce chokes, which is interesting. He gives me a little bit of like Timu Ilia Topuria vibes. Like short, tanky, doesn't have the super long arms, but he loves those front chokes. This dude's really impressive as well, in my opinion.
There it is. Look, there it is. There's the anaconda. He loves that choke. Oh, you can tell by the way he cinches it up. That's tight. That's a wrap. That's a wrap, folks. There it is.
The way he put him to sleep. I mean, the disrespectful way he flops lifeless to the canvas after he gets choked out like that. Just impressive as hell. I'm really excited for this fight. But like I said, it's just like the Austin Bashi fight, man, where I'm absolutely rooting for my boy to go ahead and get out here and get this thing done. But I'm a little afraid to pull the trigger. I feel like Tommy McMillen is so raw. He reminds me a little bit of Paddy Pimblett, man. Early Paddy Pimblett, He's going to get knocked around the cage a little bit, but as long as he doesn't fade, he'll punch his way back in. He's the wild card, man. Like the clip from Always Sunny. Wild card, bitches. I see him just finding a way to win the fight because he won't fuck off. I think I got to go Tommy McMillen. It's another pick'em. And I understand why you would bet either side of this fight, which makes it tough. But I think I'm going Tommy McMillen.
Yeah, my only question before I get in, do you think Tommy's going to grapple at all in this fight?
That's the thing. I don't know if he's going to grapple offensively. Like, I feel like he wants to strike. He wants to be like Sean O'Malley. I think he wants to go out there and throw hands and bleed and get into a slugfest. He seems like an all excitement action, type of fighter.
Yeah, because I mean, that's what I'm concerned about in this fight is if he goes out and tries to grapple in this fight, like I think that the anaconda is going to be super, super live. I also think Club and Sub will be live for Montes in this fight.
That's true.
Yeah, I just think it's a situation where one guy is an absolute chaos fighter and one guy's a very technical, patient kind of counter fighter. And that to me is like, who's going to get their game off? Just the durability, is the durability going to continue to hold up for Tommy in this fight? He has, like you said, he's gotten rocked by guys. Dana White Contender Series, not only did he get rocked and dropped, like he also had to fight off a nasty choke in that fight as well, that he defended amazingly. I thought I couldn't believe it, actually. I don't think that he survives a choke in this situation. I really don't. I think he gets in those situations, he's going to go to sleep. And then when it comes to striking, I think that Tommy's going to have the chaos advantage and he's going to have the volume advantage for sure. But I think like pull counters and things like that, just general, like just more technical striking and just, he's going to be off. I think Montes is going to be off of his back foot a lot and just trying to counter and trying to stay at range against this guy and throw some kicks and things like that. And just let him come into range and then take his shots and just keep kind of dancing around. I think the chaos, advantage for Tommy is there clearly. I think if anybody's grappling in this situation, I would think that the front choke and the front choke, I just think the front choke is a legit, actually, like, it's not that he's subbing scrubs with this. Like, he's getting everybody and they are instantly going out. Like, it is a legit. It's not, I saw people in the chat saying he's a front choke merchant. It's like, he's a front choke merchant because literally nobody can defend it. Like, not when he gets it. Like, it was similar to what Patty had on BSD, where it's just like, you can't do anything about this right now. You're absolutely fucked. Like, you just, it's a question of, do you want to tap or do you want to go to sleep? You're not getting out.
It's true.
So, I think I think defensive responsibility at major edge for Montes. I think sheer volume and like optics of, I'm going to come at you all fight is clear, Tommy. So it's a question. I honestly don't have a strong lean in this fight, to be honest. I think it's, gun to head. I think the UFC probably wants Tommy to win. He's more marketable.
Yeah, I would think so. But what a hard makeup. Like, why would you give him this guy?
Yeah. I don't think Montes is a guy that's like super aggro that's going to go at him. I think it's going to have to be a counter. It's going to have to be those types of situations where Tommy will be able to be aggressive against him. Unless he tries to grapple. That's the thing. I think if he tries to grapple, I think he's going to go directly into the lion's den, which is not a smart decision.
Yeah. I mean, I would want to hope at least that, Red Hawk and the coaching staff they've got out there, they're really high level. Like, those guys are kind of running Arizona right now. I would hope that they would be prepared for this. You've got a power puncher who wants to club and sub you. Obviously the solution or the defense to this choke is never get caught in it in the first place. If they come out with a proper game plan, I mean, he probably could box this guy up if he wants to just work behind the jab and stay at range and use his volume. But I just don't know if he's that guy. You know what I mean? I don't know if they can get Tommy to calm the fuck down to have that kind of a fight.
Yeah, he's not that kind of guy.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like, it's kind of crazy because you really could have an easy path to victory, but I think he's just a rabid dog that'll start foaming at the mouth and will lose the game plan.
I was listening to somebody break down this fight, and they said it was fun. It was really funny, but it's actually, I can't give I don't know who, I can't remember. So apologies to the person who said it, but it was really funny. It's like, they said that Tommy is like a dude that is fighting multiple people in a bar. And he's trying to like get the guy that's to the left out first, and then he can go to the guy that's on the right. And like, it was a great analogy. It's exactly how he fights.
Yeah. No, I like that. And yeah, Young Mind in the chat is saying Tommy is not good, bro. Doesn't listen to his coaches. His striking isn't technical, and he's all heart. But see, that's the thing. Like, he's a Dricus. He's a Patty. Like, that. He's so raw. He's huge, and he just finds a way. Now, maybe that run comes to an end here in the UFC when he runs into guys like this. But it's the one where so obviously, Tim, I think a lot of people are going to go, I saw this kid. He got rocked. He sucks. They're all going to bet against him. And then in round 2, it's going to look like the Gaethje fight, where like in round 2, he's not dead. And then all of a sudden you're going, oh shit. Like, cause he just doesn't stop coming forward. That's kind of how I see this thing playing out. I do think it's Tommy. I think I'll side with Tommy. Do I get to the bet is the question.
Could be a good live spot for him.
Yeah, it actually live is probably the better way to play this one. But I want to warn you guys, be careful. This is your PSA for the week, right? Because this is the guy that the floor could drop out at any point in time for both of these guys. Like, I could see either of these guys being ahead and then dropping the ball and losing the fight just because both guys are dangerous and both guys have nuclear options as far as winning the fight goes. This one will not be safe. It's a coin flip that'll look minus 500 no matter who wins it. Good fucking luck. I may just have to pile in and go team spectation and bet both Tommy and Austin, and pray we at least get the 1-1. Hopefully we get the 2-0, and just rep the team there. All right, folks, let's go. We got women's MMA, and my favorite prospect is back. Tabatha Ricci takes on the Archangel Fatima Kline in a big spot. Tabatha Ricci is 12-4. She is 31 years old. She's 3-3. In her last 6 fights. The UFC really pushing her. really pushing her. The UFC power couple with Callum Walsh, that was a whole big thing. And they really tried to make a big deal about her boxing improvements and the way she, got to work on the feet. She got that TKO. And I'm not going to lie, that was impressive.
To respond, try to maybe throw something back at you, and then that might open up easier opportunities to get back.
Oh, that was a good one with the points of the elbow as
and
well.
Now she's down.
She's hurt. She's down.
That hurt her.
I'm telling you, this could be it. This could be the end.
It's over. Richard, big enough time. Wow! Baby shot. Wow!
That was a fun cash that night. I love fading Amanda Hebos's chin. But when you look back on it, it was an elbow that started the whole thing. Got her right with the tip of it, right in the cheek. Yeah, I'd go down for that too. It wasn't really her boxing. Tim, she doesn't have power. Like she is a spammer. She's a decent wrestler. She's got that Tabatha Ricci frame where she is nothing but muscle at 5'1". But she just doesn't have explosive power in her punches. Verna got her down 6 times. So I always say she's got really good takedown defense, but she actually has 65% takedown defense after dealing with Verna. She got this step up in competition they were hoping for, and she just kind of failed the test. And I feel like this is the UFC being like, all right, I don't want to play with you anymore. The dropping of the Woody gif, like she's not a thing. She's not going to happen. So let's see what's next. Fatima Kline is my girl, man. 9-1, 26 years old, best nickname in the game, the Archangel. She's 3-1 in the UFC, and her UFC debut, she filled in against Jasmine Jasudavicius up a weight class, and understandably, she got mauled. There was a size difference there. But even in losing that fight, she showed these flashes, man. She had these reversals. She was winning on the feet. Like there were things to like about that fight, even though she lost. It was just obvious she was too small. Now she's in her proper weight class. She's rattled off 3 wins in a row, 2 of those coming by knockout. One of the filthiest head kicks I've ever seen, man. We got her inside the distance at plus 225 in her next comeback fight after that Jazz fight. And that was just a delicious spot to cash back in on people, not knowing who she was. She finished Melissa Martinez in the 3rd round of her fight, made everybody sweat those inside the distance props, but she got it done. She's violent, man. She's got good cardio. She just steps on the gas pedal, and the deeper the fight goes, the more dangerous she gets. Her opponents wilt, and she gets stronger. Now, it's interesting because she's going to be way bigger in this fight. She's not used to being this much larger. She's going to be 5 inches taller than Tabatha Ricci, and she will have a 6-inch reach advantage, which in this weight class is kind of insane. All of these women are tiny. So for her to have that kind of a physicality advantage coming into this fight is pretty wild. Now, the UFC knows, the word is out. The people know you're no longer going to get a deal on Fatima Kline, but she's minus 375, and I love her. Okay. I don't know where she loses this fight. She's a better technical striker. She has higher volume. I think she's the better grappler. Tabatha might be able to get takedowns, but will she be able to hold her down or control her? I don't think so. She's probably the better submission grappler. Like, I want to give Tabatha like at least a little bit of credit, but Tim, I don't know where Ricci is better than Fatima Kline in this fight. Minus 375 in a women's MMA fight seems a little crazy. I think it's valid here. Now, I might sprinkle the inside the distance because I think she finishes just fucking everybody. Tabatha Ricci is almost impossible to finish. She's tough as nails. She's got good cardio. She can bail herself out with grappling, etc. So I'm not like, this is not like the plus 225 where I was screaming at you guys like, hey, I know I'm not the prospect guy, but this is the prospect. I promise you. This isn't that. Like, I want to bet a little bit of inside the distance, but it's not a home run. I could see a late finish with her just being vicious. This could be just a 15-minute, step up in competition. She gets it done type of moment. So I'll lay the money line, but I'm absolutely with Fatima Kline this week.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of a few things that are better for Ricci, but they're not involving fighting. So yeah, and I appreciate that you put on the Ricci versus Ribas fight. That fight is on the Mount Rushmore of lotion fights of the decade or century for me. So
it's true.
Yeah, that is for sure. I appreciate that. I didn't want to get caught. You took the camera down, so I didn't want to get caught on anything. Like, hey,
do you have it handy? It's right there next to you at the table.
Yeah, I mean, this fight, I feel the same way in this. I'm not going to echo chamber this one. I struggle to see where, like, just Ricci's striking is just really. I mean, everybody says that she's gotten better with her striking. Like, yeah, she's more technical with her striking, and she's not as defensively irresponsible. But she still has like a sub 40% striking accuracy. She punches air almost all the time. I struggle to see where she's going to get a win here. I did think that initially, I did think that the line was wide, and then I was looking at, like, I'm just like, okay, what is her win condition? Like, her win condition is takedowns and top time for 2 rounds. Like, I just think even if she gets taken down, like, I feel like Fatima can get up or can reverse or get a sweep or something like that, or even potentially sub herself. So yeah, and then the other side, when it comes to the the Fatima side, like, going ITD or decision, I would lean decision, but it's probably going to be gross. If it's a minus 110 situation and they're saying 50%, there might be value on that. I don't think that there's very many fighters that Ricci has fought other than Fiorot that you would say are dangerous on the feet. So that's the part where I think, Kline could do some damage on the feet against
Kline
her.
by points on Bet Online, which we should get better numbers once they, DraftKings and FanDuel, usually it's a little bit better. But Kline by points is minus 150. Kline by KO is plus 500, and Kline by sub is 9-1.
I might have to. When you can tell me the good time, yeah. Don't tell me the good time on this one. Yeah, that might get like a sprinkle, like you said, situation. Especially, like, honestly, I think that it wouldn't be. I honestly don't think it would be something that happens with, like, Kline proactively grappling and getting the sub. I think it would be reversal takedown where it's a switch and then she's instantly, like, on her back. And just, like, I think that that's where she's really good. That's what she did against Jasmine, and I think Jasmine is so much more physical and just a better wrestler than
Jazz is like 3 times the size of Ricci.
Yeah, and
if you can reverse Jazz, you can reverse Tabatha
for sure. So yeah, that might get my money. I might
knock out of the sub.
Yeah.
Which one?
I would lean sub, but I might play like the ITD and sub in that situation.
Honestly, this is one where you probably want the ITD or maybe like the round 3 if you're going to do something like that. Because seriously, guys, she could do either one. She could do KO. She could do sub. The sub is obviously the longer shot. I get suckered in by the big numbers. I always want to go for the long one. But yeah, I think maybe a little taste of the inside the distance, but I'm absolutely parlaying up Fatima Kline this week. I thought maybe the line might be a little wide, and I'm always disappointed, man. It's like, the secret's out. Like, I can't get a great number on the special sauce anymore, right? Like, that's always disappointing, but I'm still okay. Like, I think I'll just take it. It's pricey. You're going to have to lay a little bit of juice, but I definitely think she wins the fight. So glad we see eye to eye there on that one. All right, everybody, we got over 300 of you live here, 334 of you to be exact across all the platforms. Again, thank you guys for being here. Hit that like button, share the show, get subscribed, and let's talk about, oh, dear God, it's enough to make a man want to drink, Tim. Chase Hooper is back, taking on Mitch Ramirez. Now, that conversation we had just a little bit ago, Tim, Chase is the poster boy for my situation of being a fan because I love Chase Hooper. I'm a big fan of him. We had fun. And then I hit that legendary round 3 TKO ticket that he's been in my heart forever, right? It's always been Team Hooper ever since then. So I always found ways to excuse things for him. And he's on a back-to-back KO loss streak right now, man. 26 years old. We used to talk about his legendary durability. He would take unreal punishment and then just force a scramble. It didn't matter how many times he got hit in the head. He would find a way to grab an ankle or grab a leg, and then he'd tie you into a pretzel, and he'd find a way to win. He'd find a way to get on top. He'd find a sub. Like, it was good times, man. And it seems like Alexander Hernandez really just kind of wrote the book on how you beat this guy. And now he's coming off of back-to-back knockout losses where the first punch that lands, you see the eyes roll. It's like he just doesn't want to get hit anymore, man. It's like his body is allergic to the damage these days after how much he's taken. He's kind of developed this karate style striking, but he's such a string bean. He has no power. He has no power. All of his power comes from his ground and pound. He's got to be on top of you. And that is filthy, by the way. When he does find a way to the mat, he's a very slick submission specialist, very dangerous from every position. And he invents some creative new ones, by the way. But if he gets on top of you, it's all elbows. He will dice you up. And he's got cardio. He never stops. It's just kind of a relentless pounding. But I want to show this clip to you guys just to kind of illustrate how sneaky this guy is with the submissions, because he will put you in a spot you've never been in before and find a way to attack.
At his hip, every time he turns, he stops him. That's beautiful by Hooper, man.
The flow is sensational. He's got it. He got it.
The dream is alive.
That was the wrong clip. It was supposed to be the one from Jordan Leavitt where he goes for the ankle lock. They trade positions. He ends up taking the back from like a crazy scramble spot. My bad, guys. Wrong clip. I apologize. But that is a fantastic submission that he landed there. When you saw the adjustment with the arm bar, point stands. He's not that physical, though. 0-2 on his takedown attempts against Hernandez, 0-2 on his takedowns against Lance Gibson Jr. And that's kind of the big thing. Jiu-jitsu kid, can't wrestle, not physical enough. Kind of makes you worry a little bit. Mitch Ramirez is 8-3. He's 33 years old. He is 1-3 in his last 4 fights, and everybody's already basically saying this dude's dead on arrival. His UFC debut after losing on Dana White's Contender Series was interesting because not many people get the opportunity after, losing on Contender Series, but he fought up a weight class and faced Carlos Prates. I was like, like, let's give him a little pass there, right? He got to win an LFA. The UFC brought him back, and they brought him in on short notice against Thiago Moises. Thiago Moises no longer with the company, so another loss that really didn't age very well. He ended up getting TKO'd in the 3rd round. Moises just chipped his legs apart, man. He had no answer for the leg kicks. But if you go back and watch that fight, he successfully defended takedowns. He got taken down early. He defended well. He got his way back up. And then Moises couldn't get him to the ground anymore. He completely turned into a brick wall in the 2nd round of that fight. Moises found the chink in the armor, and he just kind of attacked that calf over and over and over again and ended up getting the TKO victory there. But I kind of thought he was turning the table in that fight. And then he fought Mike Davis. Now, Beast Boy, I've got kind of a love-hate relationship with. We've been a little up and down since he's been in the UFC. And he ended up knocking this guy out as well. But honestly, dude, I was a little, and again, we're going to do the impressive and a loss thing. I was a little impressed with Mitch Ramirez in that fight. Just kind of the dog in him. You know what I mean? He was in the pocket. He was slugging it out with Mike Davis. He was stomping his way forward, trying to find him, looking to land big shots. He couldn't find him. There was a speed difference. There was an athleticism difference. He couldn't catch Beast Boy in the cage. And so then the counters kind of really started to flow, and he ended up getting folded. Like what I saw up until the time that he got hurt to the point he couldn't take it anymore. This dude's a tank, and he's on the good stuff too. His veins are popping out everywhere. He's big. He's powerful. Good takedowns, blast double legs. He hits really hard. I'll be honest with you, Tim. I took the shot, man. I played him at plus 700 against Mike Davis because Mike Davis was kind of coming off a couple of weird performances where I thought he was shot. I was like, there's a chance. There's a chance Mike Davis is just completely done. And we're getting plus 700 on this marauding, power punching monster that I think the UFC likes as like an action type fighter. So I took the shot. Is it mandatory for me to take the shot here against Chase Hooper? Because realistically, Hooper has dropped the ball as a 3-1 favorite, not once, twice. And now here he is a minus 360 favorite. Like, not only did he open minus 300, but more money came in on him. And he's an even bigger favorite now. But the thing is, we know the fucking blueprint. You need to be heavy on your feet and punch him in the face. And that's all it takes to beat Chase Hooper right now. Are people forgetting that? Like, do they not realize how big Ramirez is? Or did they think he's going to somehow have takedown success all of a sudden in this spot? Like, why are we not just auto-clicking Mitch Ramirez against the now chinny version of Chase Hooper? Tim, talk some sense into me because I'm this close, man. I'm this fucking close.
Yeah, I think you need to look up the history of the lines on Chase Hooper. He's been a -300 or a high -200 multiple times and lost. I think it's more than twice for sure. Yeah, like
Yeah,
it's
I've been on all of
never,
them.
yeah, honestly, it's never Chase at -300 like ever in any situation. Like the only guys that he's beating, like look at the guys that he's beating. Like he's beating Jim Miller, who after a round, like guys that like he can grapple. He's beating Clay Guida. He's beating guys that are not like, he's beating Jordan Levitt, who's getting into grappling sequences with him, like Fior grappling sequences with him. Like just if you're dumb enough to get into grappling sequences with him, then he'll have a chance to win. If you are just strictly in the sprawl and brawl, counter him, counter grapple him and strike against him, he's not beating anybody. Like he just isn't. Like he had the one knockdown versus Slava and then he just brutalized him. Like clearly, I understand that, but just it's the same situation where he didn't finish him there and he finished him in the second round when he got him down. Like so, it's to me, I just it's never ever Chase at this point at -300. So if you're saying like if you're betting him at +700 versus Mike Davis and you're wondering if you should fade him at +300 here, it's like I could never laugh at anybody betting a +300 versus Chase Hooper at this point. Like it's not. Steve Garcia broke him. Like he broke his chin. Like ever since then, he's not he's not reacting anywhere. He's not fighting through it anymore where he used to. Steve Garcia just completely broke his chin. He needs to go to Dagestan. Like he needs to go to Dagestan for like 2 years and 3 years and just like literally learn how to grapple, learn how to wrestle, not grapple, learn how to wrestle and get takedowns and like just be able to chain shit together to be able to do it and commit to it. And then he's also fallen in love with his hands. It's just like it's the absolute, what I was telling you before. It's the grapplers that, I'm not saying that he is gonna get takedowns, but if you're only shooting 2 in these fights and you're in this situation where you're going against guys where you're just saying like, I'm going to get nuked. I know I'm going to get nuked and I'm just going to shoot 2 takedowns. Like, dude, you need to go for multiple takedowns in this situation. So yeah, could he, the thing about Mitch Ramirez for me that's, there's plenty of reasons to not be, excited about Mitch Ramirez, but like he's, like you said, the Moises fight after the first round, it's not bad. Mike Davis, both those fights, he fought off chokes that were legitimately completely sunk in. And just, I'm not saying that Chase can't sub him, but I'm not as convinced that I'm not convinced. I don't need to be convinced. I 1000% know that Mike Davis and Thiago Moises have 10x the better wrestling and physicality than Chase Hooper. So it's just like, that's the question is, do you think that Chase can get him down? And if you think that Chase can get him down, then you think that I think that's definitely live that he's going to sub him. But I think it's been shown so far that Chase is not really even committing to these takedowns anymore. And he's striking at range with guys and giving them chance to hurt him before he can panic shoot. And then they stuff the panic shot and then he's getting cooked. So yeah, it's never Chase at -300 for me.
Okay, you said everything I needed to hear, Tim, because this is the Link Memorial Dog of the Week. We are coming off making my Linky boy, doing him proud this past week with the win over Corey Sandhagen, right? So cashing, feeling good, on track. Thank you, Mario Bautista. And now we're going to take the shot, man. If I'm betting against Mike Davis at +700, I have to bet against Chase Hooper at +285. Like, it's going to not be like a crazy thing, but I mean, the blueprint is there. The script is there. All he's got to do is shuck 1 or 2 takedowns and then punch this guy in the mouth once or twice, and the ref's going to step in and wave it off. The way Chase falls, you guys, he crumples like a newborn baby giraffe. It looks terrible optically. I think that a lot of refs are going to step in and save him at this point after the damage that he's taken. And while Mitch Ramirez has been knocked out a couple of times, it's against Mike Davis, by the way, in round 2, deep into round 2, almost the end of the round, almost made it to round 3. It was leg kicks against Thiago Moises, which a fight he was kind of taking over in. And then it was Carlos fucking Prates on Dana White's Contender Series. I mean, like, I'm sorry, Tim, I'm not holding any of those against a guy like this. He's obviously not an elite talent, but he could very well be a mid-tier talent in the UFC. Like, I'm going to give him the shot. All he's got to do is follow the game plan. The UFC is trying to execute Chase Hooper in this fight, and I'm going to take the chance. I'm absolutely going to be like, all right, the UFC's done with this dude. They're setting him up to get knocked out for a third time. I'll bite. I'll take him.
Yeah, I can't hate it, man. I was just going through my head of like the most tilting situation ever for your bet. It could be the knockdown follow into guard to get armbarred situation. Yes. Like, be prepared. It could happen.
I understand the risks. Absolutely. There's a very real possibility that Mitch finds a way to fumble this one, because maybe he just isn't UFC caliber. You know, maybe he really just isn't. But he is training with oh shit, what's his name? He was a long-time staple in the UFC. One of the guys that like drug OD'd and then fought his way back to life. And oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Oh, fuck, I can't remember his name. That's going to bug the hell out of me. He's like a balding, glasses-wearing, beard-faced, 40 years old. Damn it.
Hey, watch yourself.
It's going to, yeah, I know, right? I look a lot like him. It's going to hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, as soon as we end the show, it's going to hit me what his name was. All right, we'll forget about it. We'll move on. But he's training with UFC caliber people. You know what I mean? Game plans, people who know this level, people who can grapple. That's really the big thing, is the guy knows how to grapple. So if I remember his name, I'll get there. Co-main event, everybody. We have got Jared Cannonier taking on Christian Leroy Duncan, continuing the theme of the Cage Warriors fighters the UFC is trying to get rolling. Court McGee, Iceland Farts. Yes, thank you, Court McGee. That's the one. Oh, that's the one. I love you. All right, so back to the fight here. CLD, you guys, somebody who I really Tim, I really poo-pooed this kid when he first made it to the UFC. I felt like he was kind of a Cage Warriors fraud, and he did get that early step up in competition. He did fail. They sent him back down the ladder, but damn, has he ever kind of rounded out a little bit.
Back in open space. Inside kick again. Inside kicks to the setup. Big attack for CLD.
That fight made me sad, man. I'm an Eric Anders fan. We've DM'd. He's an Arizona boy. We've talked. So, like, I hated to pick against him in that one, but you just saw it coming a mile away. Christian Leroy Duncan is now 30 years old, guys. He's kind of grown up in front of us. He's really leveled up his last couple of fights. He's on a 4-fight win streak. Very smooth striker. Very unorthodox movement. He kind of has these weird twitchy stance switches, and he's very explosive from both directions. Lots of kicks, flying knees. You saw the spinning attack, quick counter shots. He's a guy that will kind of work his way to a grimy decision. He reminds me a little bit of like Cyril Gane, where like he could sit down and like finish the fight, but he doesn't always choose to do that. Sometimes he'll just point fight his way if he feels safe to do that for 15 minutes and leave no question type situation. I think he's ready for prime time, Tim. I'll be honest. I think we have a good version of him now. I thought he was going to be the first guy to knock out Roman Dolidze in his last fight, but that's kind of what I'm talking about. He avoided the grappling. He disengaged. He stood up. He made him get back up and kind of just boxed him up for 15 minutes. I like everything about Christian Leroy Duncan at this stage of his career. Jared Cannonier, 42 years old, 1-3 in his last 4 fights. He still got it, man. I mean, to some extent, for a 42-year-old man, he still got it. Like that, the fight where he absolutely broke Hobocop Rodrigues deep into round 4, like the cardio is still there, the power is still there, the heart is still there, but we have seen him really get hurt in his last couple of fights. And even the fights where he wasn't finished, like he's been wobbled a lot. He's been rocked a lot. So that insane durability is just kind of starting to fade a little bit. And at 42, man, that floor is going to drop out on you. You can't keep taking shots at 42, 43 years old. I don't care what kind of a freak special athlete you are. Once you get to 42, 43, 44, like it's common, man. The other thing is he's built for 25 minutes. So that cardio machine aspect it's going to get taken from him here. You know, he's in a 15-minute fight for this one. He doesn't have the opportunity to wait for the kid to gas out and slip up and then work his way back in. He's going to have to win this thing in 15 minutes. So it's going to be a firefight. It's going to be a skill fight here for 15 straight minutes. He won't be able to rely on the cardio. Man, am I crazy? Like, I really like Christian Leroy Duncan in this spot. I know, am I crazy to like a minus 300? I know why. But you know what I mean? Like, I feel like everyone's ready to poke a hole in CLD. And I think he's proven himself. I'm ready to buy in. I think Christian Leroy Duncan is the side here. And I wouldn't be shocked if he ends Jared Cannonier, because the chipping away of the durability, I think we're going to finally see him not be able to come back from a big shot. And with how fast CLD is, I think he's going to counter something. I think he's going to find a counter shot that Jared Cannonier doesn't see coming. And I think he's going to knock him out.
I think it's definitely live, no doubt. I mean, he's a pretty decent sized favorite against him. 42 years old. Not a great look, obviously, just if you're betting by the analytics. There's some issues. I've done really, really well betting CLD fights. Like, I had Petrosian by decision. I had RoboCop by decision against him. I've picked the times where his last couple fights. I think he was a Palaev. I think is the only one that I lost like a prop bet on him, and I think it was just like he had him dead to rights and he didn't go for it. Like, I think that's the only one that I've missed, honestly, in betting him in his last like 4 or 5 fights. The problem that I see, there's multiple problems that I see for CLD. First of all, like the over under on DK for stupid spinning shit is like 45.5. He doesn't have a functional jab. Like, if you told me that CLD develops a functional jab, I would say he's potentially a contender in this division. Like, he just doesn't have a functional jab. Like, the dude just does stupid spinning shit, doesn't stay at range. He's incredibly athletic and long, and he doesn't have like one of the best punches to have striking. So that always kills me in watching him. I kind of disagree with you on the Delidze fight. Delidze got 3 out of 4 of his takedowns and had 7 minutes of control and got his back. That was not good. Like, that's a situation where I look at really quick. I think the Cannonier has gone and got takedowns in like 4 out of his last 5 fights. I think he got 2 against Michael Page. He got 1 against Gregory Rodrigues, 0 against Kaio. He got 1 against Nasruddin Imavov, and he got 4 against Vettori. But he's also gotten hurt in every single one of those fights. Like, every single one. Like, he got hurt. He got dropped and hurt. Like, he got hurt bad versus Marvin Vettori in the first round. And Marvin Vettori, like, literally can't win a pillow fight. Like, just
that's the one that made me think Marvin still had it, man. Really, yeah. I watched that and I was like, oh shit, my boy Marv has still got it. And no, he doesn't.
Yeah, but then on the other side, like, my point of the grappling is, like, I think that he knows that he needs to grapple more now. Like, I feel like it's kind of obvious that he knows what's happening with the chin, and he knows what's happening with the speed, and that he's becoming more hittable. And I do think that the type of striking and the spinning shit and all the stuff that CLD does is, like, that's why guys can get him down. I think that that's why guys like RoboCop just ate him alive on that shit. Like, he just allowed him to do something stupid, allowed him to do, like, throw stupid kicks, and he's just like, all right, you're off balance now, I'm got you. And I feel like, don't get me wrong, I do see your angle, and I do think it's extremely live that CLD could nuke him and catch him and hurt him, because literally everybody has hurt him in his last 5 fights. But I also feel like if Jared can get on top, like, he's got vicious ground and pound. He's not a submission type dude, but he's, like, extremely strong, extremely powerful, and has vicious ground and pound. So I do feel like it's like the takedowns and grappling for me are more the concern on the CLD side in this fight. I do think and it's also like, I don't think that Cannonier obviously is not, like, he's not a grappler, and he has, like, nuclear power still. So it's not like he's, like, dead on the feet. Like, he could catch him striking too. Petrosian was catching him all day with just jabbing his face off. Like, that's what I liked about the Petrosian matchup. And this is a long time ago, but it's just like, Petrosian matchup, I'm like, dude, he's going to calf kick this dude, and he's going to jab his face off. He's just going to stay completely at distance and let him throw spinning shit. And that's where I was just like, dude, this guy does not have a functional jab. He's not going to get in on Petrosian, and Petrosian just absolutely schooled him. And so I think that type of fight where it's just like, if he's constantly doing stupid shit, yes, could he catch him? Yeah. But it's also like he could put himself in positions where he's getting caught by massive shots and or getting taken down. So I do think I agree with you. Like if you're saying make a pick and say, who are you going to put in, your lineups and things like that, if you're making a PRP or something like that, it would be CLD for me. But I can see, I can see situations where he could get caught with a stupid, he could get caught with something nuclear, or he could get taken down for a round or two. But I'm with you on this side. If you're saying like, hey, who do you think is going to win? I think CLD will win. What do you think the method will be? I do think he will eventually hurt him at some point, but I don't think this is like put him in all your parlays situation.
No, it's interesting because I do think he's going to win, and I do think he's going to win impressively, but I think I would rather just bet the KO prop straight than put him in a bunch of parlays.
Yeah, I mean, it just, again, it depends on what type of lines you're getting and things like that, because
for sure,
he's also a guy that sometimes he goes for it and sometimes he doesn't. So
yeah. No, it's true. But I would rather lose like a straight play on just like, hey, even if it's minus 120, like bet 1 unit on the KO prop, call it a day. It either hits or it doesn't, rather than have like a 3-unit parlay where, oh my God, I need the minus 300 to come through. Like I think I'd rather just go for the knockout. We'll see what the numbers are. I'm picking CLD to win. Tim raised a lot of valid points. And we have seen him, drop some of these big spots. So, oh, wow. Vinzy's saying the KO prop is plus 180. Yeah, I'll be there. All right. That's the kind of number I'll get behind. Absolutely. We'll be there. All right, guys. Main event of the evening. Let's freaking go. Dricus Du Plessis. And he is taking on Kamaru Usman. Oh, my boy Dricus is back. Tim, it's been way too long. I'm all team Dricus. You guys know this. We've been on the Dricus train for a very, very long time. The man is an absolute freak of nature, and he just cannot be stopped. He just cannot be stopped. Kamaru Usman, though, we got to give him his respect, right? He is 39 years old, and even though he's been on a bit of a rough skid, it has not really been as bad as it looks on paper. He got his feet wet against Joaquin Buckley, snapped a 3-fight losing streak, and looked really good in that fight. He was definitely a bit clunky. He was definitely a bit slow. But when he wanted takedowns, Tim, he got takedowns. He still obviously can wrestle. We've been talking about this guy's knees going out for God knows how long. It doesn't matter. Like, he still just keeps coming in there and wrestling. His fight against Khamzat Chimaev, short notice, up a weight class. That was the one that let us know that Khamzat's human. We got to watch that fight play out, and it was like, oh shit, like Kamaru's actually like pushing him to the limit here. And then the Leon Edwards fights. I mean, I've raved about the Leon Edwards situation, Tim. The first fight was a complete fluke that never should have happened, that was set up by the ref giving him a stand-up deep into the 5th round that was completely unjustified. Never should have been in the situation to get caught. 0.001% head kick opportunity lands. Congrats to Leon. And then he wasn't right, man. Coming off the first knockout of his career, he didn't recover. He didn't heal up. They turned him around. They did the rematch, and he fought completely different in that second fight. It was just a shell of what Usman was in the first fight. So I think the resume isn't quite as bad as it looks when you just kind of look at the fact that, oh, he lost 3 in a row. Well, like, yeah, but I mean, like, it wasn't as bad. But he is 39 years old. We do have to definitely respect that. The one thing I've got to give him his flowers for is maybe one of my favorite knockout highlights of all time.
And of all the superlatives,
I mean, rocky shit, Tim. Like, when they slowed that thing down from the other angle, the sweat goes flying off of his face. Like, one of the coolest KOs of all time. Prime Usman was a motherfucker. People couldn't touch this guy. Now, Dricus is in a very interesting spot. As you guys know, this is my boy, right? We're ride or die with Dricus Du Plessis. He's just 32 years old, and he's coming off of losing his belt. We bet him every step of the way, Tim. The entire UFC run, we've been cashing tickets left and right with Dricus Du Plessis, and he's just a monster. Nothing he does looks like it should work, but it does. He's just so physical. He's so strong. He's so explosive. These weird shots that he lands, they land with more force than you would expect. He can take people down. It's not pretty, but then once he gets on top of you, that squeeze is nasty. You can't stop it. He's just a monster. Losing the fight against Khamzat, it was really impressive the way he kind of hung in there, because he was really getting dominated in that fight, but he never gave Usman anything to work with. And then towards the end of the fight, he actually kind of started to kind of threaten a little bit in that final round once Usman tired out. I love this fight because this is a litmus test. This is the UFC going, look, you want your belt back? You better learn how to wrestle, kid. So they're giving him Kamaru Usman to be like, where you at? Have you been, drilling takedown defense this entire time? And you better have, because Usman can still wrestle. So we're about to find out what my boy Dricus has been doing in the offseason. But I want to show you what he's capable of when he's in the driver's seat.
Standing fight now.
Little Max Holloway downward point, big right hand, 3 in a row for Du Plessis, and now drags Adesanya down. Straight to throwing one hook in. Let's see if.
Oh, he's got the choke. He's got the choke.
Du Plessis. Oh, he gets it done. Still.
That was the moment, Tim. I know I'm just a fat kid sitting at my computer talking about fights, but I felt like I was on the team on that one, man. When he got the belt, like, it all came true for me that night. It was a good time. But I thought that when it's funny, Izzy points at the ground, and even you hear the announcers saying like, "Oh, he's doing the Max Holloway point at the ground." Well, some people online have told me that apparently Izzy said that he was trying to point the fact that he had slipped on the canvas or something like that. So it's not as funny of a clip, knowing that he was not, in fact, just getting punked when he tries to do the stand and bang moment with Max Holloway. But still pretty hilarious in my opinion. I can't not look at Dricus in this spot. But the problem is the number, because minus 245 with the comeback on Kamaru Usman being plus 200. We, just like Chase Hooper, we just saw this, Tim. We just saw it. Usman is the worst case scenario if you can't defend takedowns. He's the final boss. So if Dricus really hasn't made like massive improvements here, Usman at plus 200 could be the bet of the year. Now, the problem is, for me, I'm willing to give my guy credit. Like, I am sure, I am positive. Now, I'll call his mom after the show. I swear that Dricus has done nothing but wrestle since he lost his belt to Khamzat. He wanted the rematch immediately. He wanted to get his belt back immediately. He's looking to get out there and do what it takes to learn to develop. And we've seen that from his entire career, that like he's willing to work hard to develop and change things and stuff like that. So I'm willing to bet that he has done what it takes to get that wrestling up where it needs to be to win this fight. The problem is, I can't prove it. It's a leap of faith that he's been doing nothing but wrestle. And we're just going to have to wait and find out on Saturday. If he has learned how to wrestle, if he has done some real wrestling and takedown defense work, then I think he knocks Kamaru Usman the fuck out. I think he wins this fight by a mile, and he probably does it very impressively, and he becomes the second man to knock Kamaru out. But I don't know if that for certain is what's going to happen. You stalk his Instagram a little bit. He's got a couple grappling photos. He's got a couple pictures of him defending takedowns. But with who? Who's the coach? Who's the training partner? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know for certain. And there have been times, I can't think of a specific example, Tim, but there have been times just like this where we're like, all he had to do was learn how to check a kick. And they don't. And they just don't. They don't develop. They don't take that next step. They don't train the thing they need to for the fight. That's so obvious to us, the viewer. They don't. So I'm a little bit scared of that. I'll be honest. It's got to be Dricus, ride or die. We lost one. We're coming right back to it. It's got to be Dricus. But I can understand the arguments for Usman, and I am a little nervous just because Dricus absolutely has to make adjustments to be able to win this.
Yeah, it's a good breakdown. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. The thing with Dricus that's kind of interesting to me is like people who are not wrestlers are even getting him down. Like Darren Till fucking took him down like once. Like Robert Whitaker got him down once. Like he's not it's not just the Kazmat fight that's like, oh, this guy can be grappled. Like it's similar to other fights that we've talked about with CLD and other guys that are super aggro, that just like their style of how aggressive they are is going to allow them to be off balance and allow you to drop a level on them at any moment and potentially take them down. It's not like he's not strong. It's not like he doesn't know how to, wrestle, but like, I'm not quite sure on DDP if he's the best worst fighter of all time or if he's the worst best fighter of all time. But like he's one of them from a skills perspective. I just don't like he just maximizes his abilities, like, and he just is an absolute dog. Like he's a total chaos fighter. And then you talk about like the fight with Chimaev is, I understand people are like concerned about his wrestling and his get-ups and all that stuff, but I genuinely thought that in the fight with Chimaev, it was, I'm not going to give Chimaev a chance to take my neck. I'm not going to give Chimaev a chance to take my back. Like every time that he got taken down, like the submission threat for Chimaev is absolutely beastly and legitimate, and the submission threat for Usman is not. He just doesn't. I don't even think he knows what a choke is. Like honestly, I don't think that he knows how to like do anything when it comes to jiu-jitsu. I think he's just an absolutely pure wrestler, and it's not like Usman is like, especially at this weight class, it's not like he's going to easily just top time you and just hold him down if he gets him down. Like he's going to have to continue to grapple and continue to chain takedowns for 25 minutes if he's looking to get that path. It's not going to be what Chimaev did to him. Like it's not going to be him take you down once and then I'm going to lay on top of you and you're going to worry about a Darce or an Anaconda or giving up your back and I'm instantly taking your back and taking your neck. Like he just doesn't have to worry about that. Against Usman, it's just going to be like, get up. Like just butterflies, turn.
Derek Lewis style. Fuck you, get up game.
Yeah, 100%. He's not going to worry about any jiu-jitsu at all from Usman if he's smart. And I will say the striking I think is closer than people are saying. Like I just don't think that Dricus is like some savant striking that is defensively responsible, and Usman is not a guy that's like a savant himself striking, but he's extremely technical and smart and will throw jabs and will stay at range and will throw kicks. And like, he's just very, very smart, very intelligent fighter, knows how to establish range and fight from range and fight from distance. And it's just, it's not something that's like, oh, this is just a clear cut, like Dricus is just going to kill him. Like it's the same as the first Sean Strickland fight. It's like, dude, Sean Strickland jabbed him up. I thought arguably I went split for Dricus. I thought arguably you could give it to I thought Strickland won when in the first fight with them.
It was a close fight.
Yeah, super close. It could have gone either way. I'm not saying robbery or anything like that, but I thought Strickland won, and I think that that's like the kind of striking, very similar type of striking that Usman brings. Like it's very technical. It's risk averse. Just do the right things, get yourself into a potential where you can maybe get a clinch or maybe push them against the cage or get your takedowns, but be very, very smart and very technical. And so I don't think it's like, oh man, this is a 80-20 on the feet. Like this is, I don't. I think I would bet this fight. I would bet Usman easily if this was a 3-round fight. Like no doubt in my mind. Like, but the fact that it's a 5-round fight, the fact that he's going to have to do this and stay safe and not allow chaos to happen against Dricus, who just inevitably is going to get chaos to happen, that leans me his way. Another fight where I am going to be interested to see maybe what the late round props look for Dricus. I don't think he gets him out of there early. I think it'll be have to be some type of gas situation or things like that. But I also want to see what the decision prop looks for Dricus as well, because I think it could be something where maybe he loses the first round or maybe even first or second round and has to make a comeback. But I think the fight is closer than a lot of people think on the feet, and I think that the grappling sequences are going to be interesting if Kamaru goes for them. But like I said, I just don't think that he has the jiu-jitsu to do anything or scare Dricus into not wanting to try to get up in this fight, and I think he'll be much more proactive in trying to get up.
That's a very, very valid point and a very good note to make there, Tim. Shout out Hakeem the Dream. Thank you very much for the donation, my friend. Really appreciate it. He says Kamaru wins easily. Watch Brunson versus DDP. And you know what? The only thing for me with that is that fight was so long ago. You know, I understand what you're saying, but it was such a long time ago. And every year we get removed, Usman is getting older. Kamaru Usman is absolutely aging, and so at a certain point, we talked about the knees, right? It's you eventually are gonna hit a point where you can't quite get over that hump. Eventually the durability is gonna fade, the cardio is gonna slow down, the knees especially are gonna go. And I hear what Tim's saying as far as the defensive striking on the feet and things of that nature. But if this fight does play out over 15, Usman doesn't have anywhere near the volume of a guy like Sean Strickland. So I think that's kind of the difference maker. And I do think that the heavier shots of Dricus are going to be what makes the difference. But it's a very, very good fight. The number does concern me a little bit. Unless the floor just kind of falls out on Kamaru Usman and he's not quite the same guy. The total is sitting at 3.5 right now. It's a little pricey, but I think the over 3.5 does make some sense. Tim, I liked your call. I liked your late round calls. I could absolutely see Dricus gassing Usman to something. Not, Usman doesn't gas, but you know what I mean? Like if he gets him tired and then he hurts him with something big, kind of like he did with Izzy, where he just refuses to fuck off, hurts him with something in round 3 and round 4, and then kind of TKOs him late, something like that. Again, he's older, he's a little slower. I absolutely could see that happening. So I like those late round TKO props, but a decision wouldn't shock me either.
Yeah, 4-5 decision at like plus 250, something like that might be good.
Yeah. No, I think that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. The decision wouldn't be a bad look either if you want to sweat it that way, but I trust the Dricus finishing instincts, enough that I do think he finds a way to get it done. Hakeem says that DDP doesn't hit harder than Usman. I don't know that I'd agree with that. I think DDP is a freak of nature. I do think he hits harder than Usman. I think Usman has very clean boxing, and that can make up for a lot. But I think just raw power, I would say DDP has the edge. It's hard to say that with certainty, but just that's kind of what I would guess. I would lean that way.
I don't think it's close.
Okay, all right. You're with me.
DDP is way more power.
Okay,
you're
talking,
right. You see, dude fights at 170 versus 185, and dude's been killing guys at 185.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if you're saying like physical strength, I think that's a closer battle for Usman and DDP compared to like one-shot power. Like it's not close.
Put the punching machine up, let the numbers go. It's DDP. All right, guys, that'll do it. That is UFC OKC. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. Very much appreciate everybody being in the house this evening. Good luck, my degenerates. Thank you all for the love, for the support. Do me a favor, please, on your way out, hit that like button if you haven't yet already. Jump in the comment section below. Let me know how last week went. Let me know what your favorite plays for this week's are. I always try to get into the comments and get back to you guys. I appreciate you doing that. It also, helps the algorithm out and things like that for me. We will have Clint's hot props. We'll have the total takedown. And of course, on Fridays, best show of the week, we'll have the undefeated post weigh-in show. Tim, my man, appreciate you swooping in here. This was really fun. Always love talking fights with you. If you have anything you want to shout out, sponsors, where they can sign up for lessons, lotion, discount codes, whatever you got, my man, the floor is yours.
Yeah, Clint, man, thanks again. This was great. I appreciate you inviting me back on. Let's do it again sometime soon. And
definitely.
Yeah. This is I'm Friday nights with Narco Cop Lambo Plays podcast. That's the only show that I do weekly. I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate your chat being as kind as they were as well.
Always, man. Hey, I gotta tell you, that's the thing. My chat, we got the best fans in the game. This is the safe place for MMA. Everybody's good around here, so we always have a good time with it. Thank you again, my friend. Really appreciate it. Good luck, everybody. Have fun out there. Good luck on your home run derby bets. Don't lose too much money. We'll save some bag here for MMA at the end of the week. Let's roll.